Welcome to the Recon Trader. In today's video, I will share with you one of the weapons I utilize to do recon when I am searching for undervalued crypto assets to invest in. Now, when I am trading, I primarily focus on technical analysis on the charts. But for my investment portfolio, I am actually more interested in the fundamentals of the project. So, with that all being said, let's get to it. Alright, if we jump over to TokenTerminal.com, it is basically a website that provides you a lot of intel that helps you evaluate and perhaps discover those undervalued crypto assets I was talking about earlier. And so when you start out on the home page, the first bit of intel is about protocol revenue, and it will actually show you the revenue generated in fees by a lot of the different projects. And in this case right now, the number one project they have on this chart is Axie Infinity, which has been exploding over the last week and a half, and you can see its revenue is around 51.3 million. Now what's interesting to me is number two, a pretty good distance behind, is PancakeSwap at around 12 million. However, what is interesting about that is this chart does not include Uniswap, and actually if it did, Uniswap is actually around 86 million in revenue, so it would actually be number one ahead of Axie. Now moving on down the line, we can see MetaMask is around almost 7 million. We can see Synthetics, that's a project I do have a long-term position in. They're at around 5 million. A project I'm currently doing a lot of recon on, and I will have future videos on the platform coming out soon, so now might be a good time to shoot that subscribe button so you don't miss out on that video, is Perpetual Protocol. And a second project that is on my radar is Hedgic. And so if we scroll down from the initial chart, we come to the total revenue list. And I currently have the list sorted by revenue, which is the total fees paid in the last 30 days. And you can see Ethereum is actually number one with 156 million. And like I mentioned earlier, Uniswap is actually number two with 86 million. After that is Axie Infinity with the 51 million. So I'm not sure why Uniswap is not included in the above chart. That's something I'll have to take a little deeper dive into. Now, one of the ways I utilize this list to do my recon is I'm actually interested in the PS ratio, or the price to sales ratio. And the price to sales ratio is basically calculated by dividing the fully diluted market cap by the annualized revenue, which in the end shows how the project is valued versus its revenue, which is similar to a PE ratio, which is your price to earnings ratio. And that was a ratio I used a lot back in the day when I traded stocks pretty heavily. And it is nice to see TokenTerminal starting to report the PE ratios for these projects as well. Now, when I am searching for an undervalued project, I am actually looking for this PS or PE ratio to be as low as possible. The lower the better. That would basically mean with that lower number that they are undervalued. And like in this case, Ethereum's price to sales ratio is 125, almost 126x, where if we drop down to Uniswap, the PS ratio is only around 18%. So you could say that Uniswap, in comparison to Ethereum, based on their revenue, is undervalued. And even looking at a project like Axie, which has been just absolutely exploding over the last 7 days, its price is actually up 107%, but its revenue is so high, their price to sales ratio is only 10x. So you could say at $24, Axie is undervalued. However, I'm not actually saying Axie is undervalued. I want to stress that this video is intended for educational and informational purposes only and is not to be considered investment advice. At the end of the day, you need to do your own recon and make your own decisions on what projects you decide to trade or invest in. Now, with that all being said and out of the way, one of the ways I like to sort this list is by the price to sales ratio. So if I give it a click, it will actually show the lowest ratio on up. If I give it another click, it will actually show the highest ratio on up. And you see Stellar, Zcash, Kusama, Polkadot, if you're invested in Polkadot, its value versus its revenue is like 25,000x. Now let's jump this back from the lowest to the highest. So with a 1.84x PS ratio, the number one spot goes to QuickSwap. Right behind them is SushiSwap and PancakeSwap, basically at 6x each. Now we can also take a look at their PE ratios, and QuickSwap is at around 14x. SushiSwap is around 36x, and PancakeSwap is around 18x. And it looks like PancakeSwap actually has more revenue than the other two projects at around 38 million versus 25 million for Sushi and around 17 million for QuickSwap. Now these type of ratios would have me interested normally. I do have to take into consideration who their competition is, and in this case their competition's Uniswap. Basically all three of these projects are extremely similar, if not absolute clones of Uniswap. And therefore they don't have the first to market advantage that Uniswap has, or the name recognition that Uniswap has, or the adoption that Uniswap has. So in full disclosure, I do need to say I actually hold a pretty good position in Uniswap, and therefore I would not actually be interested in these three projects for investment purposes. I might day trade them, but I wouldn't be interested in a long-term investment position on these three projects. The very next project, however, you see, number 4 on this list, I mentioned earlier, is Hedgic. And Hedgic has a PS ratio of 9x with a PE ratio of around 49x. Hedgic is actually a very small cap project at 38 million, and their revenue is right around 1.94 million, which is actually really good for such a small cap project. And I've just started doing my recon on Hedgic, so if you jump over to the Hedgic website, it's basically a platform that allows you to do options trading in crypto. And as a decentralized platform, they do not require any registration, KYC, or email required. You can simply trade options on ETH, for example, by simply placing put or call option orders, and you can set your strike price, you can set your period of holding time, like 3 weeks, and it will break out your strike price, your break even, your profit zone. Now, back in the day when I traded stocks, I also did quite a bit of trading on the options market, so this is very interesting to me, and I will continue to do some recon on this project, and eventually I will upload a more detailed video on this project. So again, you might want to shoot that subscribe button so you don't miss out on that video. Now, if I jump back over here to TokenTerminal and click on Hedgic, I can actually do some more recon. You'll find some details about the project, and if you scroll down, you can actually click on TVL, which is the total funds locked, and it'll give you that data. You can take a look at the transaction volume. You can take a look at the PS ratio versus the actual market cap. Same with the PE ratio. It'll give you that data as well. And again, I'll do a more detailed video on this project in the future. But if you decide you want to go ahead and pick up some of those Hedgic tokens, you can jump over to OKX and do a search for Hedgic. And you'll see Hedgic USDT is available. And now if you desired, you could actually place a limit or market order for Hedgic around 7 cents. Now if we jump back over to TokenTerminal and keep scrolling down, another project I am extremely interested in is Perpetual Protocol. And you can see they come in with a PS of around 35 and a PE of pretty much the same, 35x. And their total revenue is around 3 million. Now I've been doing quite a bit of recon on this project, and they are basically a decentralized perpetual contracts platform. And again, with being decentralized, there's no KYC, there's no sign-up process. You basically go to perp.exchange, connect your MetaMask wallet, and you can start trading perpetual contracts with margin without having to do any of that KYC or any of those other issues you might run into if you're located in, say, the US and you can't use Binance or what have you. So in my view, these type of decentralized exchanges will be the future of exchanges, and we'll start to see a lot of the volume shifting over to these exchanges from exchanges like Binance, who is definitely in the crosshairs of a lot of different governments right now. And if we jump back over to OKX and do a search for perp, I actually discovered perp a couple weeks ago on the TokenTerminal platform when its PS ratio was in the low teens or even single digits, and I actually came over here to OKX, and I did, if you look, I did actually buy a small position. I took a small shot, and I had planned on buying more, and I got in around $4.34. Well, as it turns out, within 5 days, the project did an update to their platform, and the price actually shot up to around $8.49, and the trader in me said, take your profit. So I actually, as you can see, sold and just about doubled up my money on that position. But with that being said, I now have more ammo to perhaps load up with more perp. And again, if we jump over here to TokenTerminal and give Perpetual Protocol a click, we can see more details over the last 180 days. Perp is up 200%. Now, if you come over to the toolbar on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see they have a lot of other options where you can sort by metrics, which would include total revenue, protocol revenue, the PS, the PE ratios, total value locked. That might be an interesting search. You could look at markets, whether it's exchange, lending, blockchain, or DeFi if you're looking to narrow down what you want to invest in, or you can just simply look through a list of the actual projects. But the intel I find most useful is the PS and PE ratios. I'm looking for those undervalued crypto assets that I might be interested in long-term hold or investment positions. And so I think that pretty much wraps it up. I just wanted to share with you one of the other weapons in my arsenal. I know I do a lot of technical analysis, but this is a weapon that I use for fundamental analysis. So if you like this video, do me a favor, spike a like. If you'd like to see more videos about building wealth, whether it be investing or trading in crypto assets, you might want to shoot that subscribe button so you don't miss future videos. Now, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop those in the comment section down below. I will drop a link to TokenTerminal in the description down below. So in closing, remember, never send your money into battle without first doing your recon. See you in the next video.